Hello everyone, and here we are for Vocabulary Unit 23. There are only two more left after this one, and we are in the middle of the letter S. So here we go. Strew. To strew is to scatter. Or to spread about. For example, if you go to a wedding and you're in the church, you might see rose petals strewn all along the aisle. Gatsby and Nick walk among fruit rinds and discarded party favors and withered flowers. They were strewn on their path when Gatsby's trying to talk about repeating the past. Fitzgerald gives us a pretty clear symbol there that you can't stop time. To strut is to walk about in a conceited way. So a conceited walk or gait. You know, he strut his stuff. Gait is a matter of walking. You know, he had a swagger, a sort of strut. To stupefy is to make another person unable to think or feel, to make another person confused or shocked. To stupefy is to make them unable to think or feel clearly. They're astonished. You know, Macbeth is astonished at the end when he finds out that Birnam Wood is coming to Dunsinane and Macduff was not born of woman. Ivan Markovitch is stupefied, you know, when Sasha demands more money. When someone is subdued, they are quiet and rather reflective, calm. We had to subdue the patient. Submissive is when you are meekly obedient, kind of like the way Nora appears to be. She appears to be very submissive to Torvald on the surface, but we know there's something else very different there. Somewhat passive, right? Submissive. To suborn someone is to bribe them, as Macbeth bribes the murderers so that they will kill Banquo. To induce somebody to do something that's unlawful. Subsequent is following. You hear the expression subsequently, right? So it means coming after. Candide was written subsequent to the great earthquake in Lisbon. And little subtleties are small features. A small feature is a subtlety, a nuance, for example. There are little subtleties in English grammar. You know, there are little sort of distinctions. And that takes care of the first page. Okay, to seek succor is to seek solace or comfort. To look for succor. Anne Bradstreet looks for succor in her faith, you know, or she gets it from her belief in God. To sully is to defile or tarnish, and we know that Torvald does not want to sully his good reputation. He doesn't like it that Krogstad was speaking to him on a first name basis. He thinks that's terrible. When something is sultry, it's very hot, it's very humid. A person can be sultry, meaning that they're seductive. You know, literally hot, I guess you could say. Tennessee Williams often sets his plays in a sultry climate, you know. Cat on a Hot Tin Roof and Streetcar Named Desire, for example. The summit is the highest point, the apex, the peak, the pinnacle. In The Tempest, there is a sumptuous banquet laid out for the nobleman, a very lavish and extravagant banquet. To undo someone from the knave to the chaps, as Macbeth does to MacDonald, is to sunder them, to split apart. The family was sundered after he married the girl they didn't like. Superficial means on the surface, having no depth, like the people in Gatsby, none of whom come to the funeral except for old Owl Eyes. And superfluous is extra. It's something that's unnecessary. So you want to get rid of superfluous words in your essays, right? It's excessive. It's not needed. Be clear and concise and directly to the point. Some people think the story of the flood in Gilgamesh is a bit superfluous. To supplant. Oh, I did know that thou did supplant thy brother Prospero. Remember that from The Tempest, coming from Sebastian to Antonio. To supplant is to supersede and replace. And Antonio says, yes, and look how well my garments fit upon me now, right? And there is no conscience in Antonio either. You know the word timid, so timorous is a synonym for that. When you're timorous, you're lacking confidence, fearful. A torrent is a fast-moving stream of water. The rain came down in torrents. It was a torrential downpour. You may have heard that before. To totter is to move unsteadily, like a little toddler might do that when he's first learning to walk. He totters around. To move unsteadily, to shake as if you're going to collapse, you know. Maybe Trinculo is tottering at one point because he's drunk too much, right? The touchstone is the standard by which everything else is judged. Your behavior is the touchstone. When you see in the newspaper that someone is touted, she's being touted as the next party leader, this is an attempt to persuade people of the value of something. Highly touted. An attempt to persuade another of the value or the merits of something. He was a highly touted athlete or singer. A tract is a region or an area of land. At one time, Caliban believed that he was the king of the island on that particular tract of land. And having nothing to do with a region or an area of land is tractable. When a person is tractable, they are manageable. They're not stubborn. They're easily controlled or influenced. Like Sebastian, I guess you could say, in The Tempest. He is very tractable. He's easily influenced or controlled, especially by Antonio. And there you have it, Unit 23.